All day, you've been the one keeping things from dropping. Conversations remembered, tasks half finished, but still open in the back of your mind. People you're quietly watching out for. Details you're tracking so nothing slips through. And now you're here, in bed. But it still feels as if everything is spinning and you're the one standing in the middle, making sure it all keeps going. There's that subtle pressure, almost like a hand between your shoulder blades, saying, don't look away, don't lose track. If you stop paying attention, something important might fall. Even with the lights low, even with the day technically over, part of you is still on duty, still scanning, still holding. You know you're tired, not just need a nap tired, but the kind of tired that comes from being the person who remembers, who follows up, who anticipates what might be needed before anyone else even notices. The person who keeps mental lists inside mental lists, who circles back to things other people have already forgotten. And here you are, lying down, but not really off. There's a sense that if you truly set everything down, even for a little while, it might not be there when you come back, or someone might need you, or something might unravel that only you are watching. Reaching for this right now is its own kind of courage. Instead of staying in that familiar, exhausting loop of scrolling, or replaying the day, or mentally organizing tomorrow, you chose to press play on something that doesn't ask you to perform, or fix, or remember. You chose something that is only for the part of you that's been carrying too much, for too long. That's already enough. You don't have to do this well. You don't have to concentrate or agree with every word or follow along in any particular way. Just by lying here and letting this sound move through the room, you've already done more than your share. For this time, the job of holding everything together does not belong to you. The list can blur at the edges. The conversations can pause mid-sentence in your mind. The people you care about can be gently placed on a shelf, knowing you will pick them up again later. Nothing important is going to be decided in the next little while. There is no right way to listen. You might drift in and out. You might miss whole stretches. You might notice some sentences clearly, and others just pass by like soft background noise. All of that is completely fine. If your mind wanders, it's not a problem. If you stay awake longer than you'd like, that's okay too. The words are here to keep you company, not to test you. You're not being graded on how relaxed you become, or how quickly you fall asleep. Think of this as a gentle agreement between us. I'll keep speaking, slowly, steadily, and you don't have to manage anything. You don't have to remember what was said. You don't have to hold on to any of it. If you drift away, that's not you failing. That's the point. For now, come back, just a little, to the simple fact of where you are. There is a surface holding your weight, a mattress, a couch, a bed you know well. Underneath you, something solid is saying, without words, I've got you. You can rest here. Notice the points where your body meets what you're lying on. The back of your head, the heaviness of your shoulders, the length of your spine, the shape of your hips, your legs, your heels. You don't have to change anything. Just notice the contact, the support. The air has a temperature. Maybe it's cool against your face or warm under the covers. You might feel the difference between the air on your cheeks and the warmth where your body has been resting in the same place for a while. Small, ordinary details that don't need you to solve them. There is fabric against your skin, the texture of your pillowcase under your cheek, the weight of the blanket over you, however light or heavy it is, the familiar feel of what you're wearing. These are simple, steady things that go on holding you, whether you pay attention to them or not. Somewhere in the background, there might be sounds. A hum from the house, a faint noise from outside, the soft creaks of a building settling for the night. None of these sounds need your response. They can be part of the backdrop, like distant waves you don't have to look at. And underneath all of this, there is your breathing. Not something to control or perfect, just something to notice. Air coming in, air going out, however it is right now is fine. Fast, slow, shallow, deep, it's already happening on its own. You might feel the rise of your chest, or the gentle movement of your ribs. Maybe you notice the air passing through your nose, a little cooler on the way in, a little warmer on the way out. Tiny movements that continue even when your thoughts are elsewhere. If your mind tries to jump back to what you didn't finish today, or what you're supposed to remember tomorrow, you don't have to wrestle with it. You can just quietly say, "Not now, I'll pick you up later." Then return to something simple, the weight of your body, the feel of the pillow, the easy rhythm of your breath. There's nothing urgent you need to hold with your mind in this moment. The important things will still be there when the sun comes back. The people you care about will still exist, even if you're not thinking about them right now. The tasks will wait. They're good at that. Imagine, just for a moment, that all the things you've been carrying today are like objects in your hands. Messages you answered, problems you tried to solve, emotions you held for other people, worries about what might happen next. So many small and heavy pieces. You don't have to drop them. Dropping can feel scary, like losing control. Instead, picture a low, sturdy table beside your bed, a place where you can set things down gently, one by one, knowing they'll be right there when you wake. Maybe the first thing you place there is a conversation you've been replaying. You can picture it leaving your hands, resting on that table. It's not gone. It's simply not in your grip right now. Then a task that's half finished. It doesn't have to be completed in your head tonight. You can imagine it as a small stack of papers or a single object set down beside the conversation, waiting but not pressing. You might place there the quiet watchfulness you carry for others, the way you scan for how everyone is doing, what they might need, what you could do to ease things. For this stretch of time, that watchfulness can rest too, like a lantern with the flame turned low. As you picture these things resting on that table, notice how your hands feel, even if they haven't moved. Notice your shoulders, your jaw, the space around your eyes, areas that have been working hard all day, often without you noticing. Here, in this room, with this bed holding you, you're not the one keeping the world from falling apart. The walls are holding their shape. The door is closed. The floor is staying exactly where it is. Gravity is doing its quiet job of keeping everything in place. Your only job, for now, is to lie here, to let sound move past you, to allow your body to be as heavy or as light as it wants to be, without needing to adjust or improve it. If thoughts come, they can pass through like clouds you notice from a window, without needing to chase them. If drowsiness comes, you don't have to fight to stay with the words. Sleep can interrupt this at any moment, and that would be completely welcome. Little by little, as we continue, you can keep setting things down on that table beside you. Not forever, just for tonight. Just long enough for your body to remember what it feels like when you're not carrying quite so much. The room around you has its own quiet gravity now. Walls, ceiling, floor. All of it forming a soft, steady shell around this one small place where your body rests. Notice the way the bed receives your weight. The mattress dips exactly where you are, the fabric stretches, the blankets shift, and then everything settles. The surface beneath you learns your shape. as though the whole bed is adjusting itself to hold every curve, every angle, without asking for anything in return. Above, the air moves in slow, invisible currents. Maybe there is a faint hum somewhere in the room, a distant appliance, a soft vibration through the wall. All of it lives far out at the edges, while here, closest to your skin, the air is still and gentle. This room is your indoor sanctuary tonight. 4 walls drawing a simple boundary between what is inside and what is outside. Inside, warmth, fabric, the weight of your own body. Outside, the rest of the world, waiting quietly on the other side of the door. Feel the points where your body meets this sanctuary. The back of your head resting into pillow, the way the stuffing shifts and then holds. The line of your shoulders, perhaps slightly heavier on one side, perhaps perfectly even. Your hips, your knees, your heels, each with its own small area of contact, its own private agreement with the surface beneath it. The air has a temperature that belongs only to this room. Not the hallway, not outside, just here. Maybe a little cooler near your cheeks, where skin meets open space. A little warmer beneath the blankets, where your own heat collects and lingers, like a quiet indoor weather pattern that forms only around you. Notice the fabric closest to your skin, the way the sheet lies flat across your legs, with tiny folds that brush against you when you breathe. The way the blanket has weight, a gentle downward pressure, like a soft hand resting and staying, not moving away. Where the fabric touches bare skin, there might be a faint texture, a weave, a smoothness, a place where it has been washed so many times it almost feels like water. Your hands have found their place, maybe resting on your stomach, feeling the rise and fall beneath them. Maybe at your sides, palms turned in or out, fingers half curled in their own small comfort. The mattress holds the backs of your hands, the sides of your fingers, the knuckles that worked all day and now do nothing at all. The room holds its own dimness, whatever level of light is here. A crack under the door, a glow from a device, or almost complete darkness. Whatever it is, this is the light of your sanctuary tonight, and it stays steady, not asking your eyes to work, not asking them to track or read or scan. Lids grow heavier or have already closed, and behind them, the soft dark of the room continues, like a second, quieter room inside. Listen for the furthest sound you can hear. Maybe something outside the building, a car passing, a faint voice, a distant mechanical rhythm. Notice how far away it feels. The walls take that sound and soften it, as though the building itself is filtering the world for you, turning sharp edges into something round and harmless. Now notice the nearest sound, perhaps the slow rush of your own breath, the small whisper of fabric when your chest moves. Maybe there is the tiniest creak from the bed as it settles into stillness with you. These are the sounds that belong to this sanctuary, the ones that rise and fall in time with your body. The air touches your face in a way that is almost nothing and yet always there. Coolness along the bridge of the nose, a slight warmth near the lips where breath passes in and out. Along the edges of your ears, the air feels quieter, as though even sound itself is padded here. Your feet are held by this space. Notice whether they are tucked under a blanket or resting freely. There may be a pocket of warmth around your toes, a deeper heat where they have been still for a while. The fabric around them might be smooth or slightly rough or thick and heavy, like a small nest built just for them. The door of this room stands closed or partly closed, in whatever way marks the boundary of your night. On the other side, the hallway, the clocks, the lists, the undone items all wait in their own time. In here, the door is simply another part of the shelter, another surface that keeps this space small and contained, so that your attention does not have to travel far. Notice the weight of your limbs, arms long and quiet, legs stretching from hips to knees to ankles, each segment resting in its own line of contact with the bed. There is a kind of indoor gravity here, the simple downward pull that keeps everything in place, that keeps your body from needing to hold itself up anymore. The ceiling, even though you may not be looking at it, is there, steady and unmoving. It does not press down, it simply exists, a calm lid on this container of air and warmth. Above it, there may be other rooms, other people, other lives, but here, beneath it, this is your private interior sky. Somewhere in the room, there might be objects that were busy earlier. A chair that held clothes, a table that held a cup, or a book, or a device that glowed and chimed. Now they all stand still, participating in the quiet, part of the background landscape of your sanctuary. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like a faint radio in another apartment that the walls have mostly hushed. What matters most is the simple contact between body and bed, between skin and air, between this one small person and this one small room. The night presses gently against the windows from the outside. Glass separates the coolness out there from the softness in here. Curtains or shades, or just the dark itself, soften whatever lies beyond, so that this room becomes its own small world, floating in the larger one but not disturbed by it. Notice your shoulders again, how the muscles along the tops of them may have started to release, sinking a little deeper into the support beneath. The bed takes that extra weight without complaint, as though it was built for this exact job, this exact moment. Your jaw, too, belongs to this indoor quiet. Teeth resting, tongue resting, lips resting. There is no need for words here, spoken or unspoken. The room does not ask for conversation. It simply receives your presence. Breath moves through this sanctuary in a slow rhythm. In through the nose or mouth, touching the back of the throat with coolness. Out again, slightly warmer, carrying away the tiny remains of the day. The air of the room and the air of your lungs trade places over and over, like a gentle, unhurried conversation that needs no attention to continue. Notice how the blanket rises and falls with each breath, a small, regular motion, like the surface of a quiet indoor pond, stirred only by the softest breeze. That movement is a sign of life, of rest, of being here and nowhere else. In this sanctuary, there is nothing to fix, nothing to organize. The tasks have stepped back. The walls hold them outside. The door keeps them at a distance. The bed keeps them from reaching your body. All that remains close is warmth, softness, and the simple pull of sleep beginning to gather. Your spine lies along the bed in its own natural curve, each vertebra supported, even the ones you never think about. The fabric beneath your back has its own quiet texture, known only to you in this position, in this light, in this hour. The room has a smell that belongs to it alone. Maybe clean fabric, maybe a hint of your own skin, maybe the faintest trace of something familiar from the day. It is not loud or sharp. It is just there, a gentle signature of this space that your body recognizes without needing to name. Here, in this indoor sanctuary, the night has become very simple. A body resting on a bed, air moving in and out, fabric holding warmth, walls holding quiet. The bed continues to cradle every part of you, adjusting by tiny degrees as muscles soften, as weight shifts almost imperceptibly toward deeper rest. The room continues to stand around you, steady and unchanged, a soft container that asks nothing at all. In this small, sheltered space, with its familiar air and its patient surfaces, the work of the day has already ended. All that remains is this gentle sinking, this gradual settling, this easy slide towards sleep, held by the quiet architecture of your own private room. The watcher in you has already taken its seat. Somewhere just behind your eyes, or a little above your chest, a quiet presence settles in. It is not working. It is not fixing. It is only resting, like someone who has been on their feet all day and has finally found a steady chair. Feel how the body holds that watcher. The back meets the bed, or the couch, or whatever surface is underneath. The fabric has its own stillness. It does not ask for anything. It just receives the weight that is here, the way a sturdy plate on a table receives whatever is placed upon it, and stays exactly where it is. Notice the weight of your head. The skull is heavy, and the pillow accepts that heaviness without comment. The watcher behind the eyes does not need to lean forward anymore. It reclines. The tiny muscles around the eyes soften, as though curtains have been drawn in a room that has been bright for too long. The air brushes your face. There may be a faint coolness on the cheeks, or a gentle warmth. Tiny currents move across skin that has spent the day scanning, tracking, checking. Now the watcher rests, and the skin no longer has to stay on alert. The air is simply there, like a quiet visitor sitting nearby, saying nothing at all. The shoulders know about this watcher. All day they have been holding themselves as though they were the ones in charge of keeping everything upright. Now they feel the support beneath them. They spread just a little, or sink just a little deeper, as if they too have found a chair that will not tip. The watcher leans back through them, no longer at the edge of its seat. Feel the weight of your hands, where they rest now against the blanket, the mattress, your own body. They are like small plates set down after being carried from room to room. The fingers may curl slightly or lie open. The palms no longer need to grip. What was held can simply rest in place, not dropped, not lost, just set down for now. The watcher notices without effort. Breath moves in, breath moves out. The chest rises under this movement like a slow, steady lift of something light being placed on that inner plate, then taken off again. There is no rush, no stacking. Just one gentle rise, one gentle fall. Under the blanket, the legs grow heavier. The thighs, the knees, the calves, each has its own weight, its own quiet gravity. The surface beneath takes all of it. The watcher does not have to brace for the next step, the next turn, the next demand. There is no next step here. There is only this long, even moment of not going anywhere. Notice the heels. They press into the mattress or the sheet. There is a small, definite pressure there, as if each heel were a stone resting on a plate that does not wobble. The fabric gives just enough to hold that pressure without complaint. The watcher senses this and relaxes a little more, reassured by the simple fact of support. The room holds its own stillness. Walls stand where they are. The ceiling stays above. The door is closed, or partly closed, and it stays that way. The watcher has spent so much time scanning doorways, checking thresholds, listening for what might come next. Now there is only this quiet frame around the body, steady and unchanged. Breath keeps moving. The air enters, touches the back of the throat, slips down into the lungs. It leaves again, a little warmer than before. The watcher does not manage this. It only observes, the way someone might watch a slow pendulum swing, back and forth, knowing it will continue without any help. There is a place just behind the forehead that may feel tired. All the looking, all the planning, all the small calculations of the day have lived there. Now that place feels like a room after a gathering has ended. The chairs are still, the table is cleared, and one quiet person sits in the corner, simply resting, not needing to speak. The jaw loosens. The tongue settles in the floor of the mouth. The lips rest together, or slightly apart. The watcher no longer leans forward through the mouth, ready to answer, ready to explain. That work belongs to tomorrow. Tonight the mouth is just another place where softness returns. Notice the temperature where the blanket meets your skin. Perhaps there is a pocket of warmth around the hips, the belly, the chest. The fabric holds the heat of your body like a plate holding something just taken from the oven. But here there is no rush to serve, no urgency. The warmth can stay. The watcher feels this cocoon of temperature and eases further into it. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now. The watcher does not have to chase those thoughts. It has moved from the busy front row of the mind to a quiet seat further back. Sounds, ideas, memories may pass, but they are like small items sliding gently across a table, never piling up, never demanding to be sorted right now. Feel the back of the body. The spine rests along its length, each segment finding its own point of contact or suspension. The muscles beside it soften, as though they have been standing guard along a fence all day and have now been told to sit down. The watcher leans into this support, trusting the line of the back to hold what it holds. The night around you is steady. Even if there are faint sounds in the distance, they are far from this resting place. The watcher has spent so long listening for what might happen. Now those sounds blur into a gentle background, like a low hum that does not need to be understood. Here, in this small circle of space, everything that needed watching has been watched. Your chest rises again. On the in-breath, the ribs widen a little, like a plate being lifted an inch from the table. On the out-breath, they settle again, coming to rest. Over and over, this simple motion repeats, and the watcher observes without judgment, without effort, as though this quiet rhythm were a lullaby made only of movement. The neck releases its work. The back of the neck feels the support beneath it, or the way the head balances where it is. The front of the throat softens. The watcher is no longer craning forward, no longer stretching to see around the next corner. There are no corners here, only the smooth, uninterrupted surface of this moment. Notice the small points of contact, the place where a finger touches another finger, the spot where fabric presses lightly against a knee, the gentle weight of the blanket on the tops of the feet. Each of these is like a tiny object resting on the wide plate of your awareness, separate and clear, yet held together by the same quiet base. The tasks have stepped back. Lists, plans, unfinished conversations. They all stand a little further away now, like items on a counter at the edge of the room. The watcher sees that they are there, but also sees that they are not on the plate tonight. They are not in the hands. They are not in the muscles. They are not in the breath. The watcher itself grows heavier. At first, it may have felt like a small, bright point. Now it feels more like a warm stone settling into soft earth. It does not need to stay sharp. It does not need to stay upright. It can recline fully into the body, trusting that the body is held and that the surface beneath the body is steady. Feel how the mattress or cushion rises up to meet you. There is no gap between the watcher and the support. Through the back, the hips, the shoulders, the back of the head, the body is received. The watcher rests inside all of that, like a quiet guest in a house where every chair is sturdy and every floorboard knows how to hold weight. Breath in, breath out. Time stretches between these two simple movements. The watcher is not measuring that time anymore. It is not counting, not comparing. It is simply here, in this long, even pause between what has been and what will come. The body knows what to do with this pause. Muscles release a little more. The eyes grow heavier in their sockets. The hands settle more completely where they lie. The watcher feels all of this as a slow, spreading ease, like a plate that has finally stopped spinning and now rests flat on the table, quiet and still. Here, the watcher rests. Here, the body holds that rest. Here, the first plate of the day slows and then simply stays, unmoving, carried by something steady beneath it. Through the soft, dark stretch of the night, the room around you has settled the way a house settles at the end of a long day. Everything that needed to hum and buzz and move has quieted. What is left is the gentle sense of arrival, as though the whole space has exhaled and is now just resting. Picture your day as a stack of plates on a kitchen counter. Different sizes, different colors, piled a little unevenly. Some chipped from long use, some still smooth at the edges. They have been carried, washed, stacked, moved again. Tonight, they are finally set down. Feel the weight of your body against the bed the way a heavy plate finds the counter. A soft, certain landing. Nothing dramatic, just contact, just gravity doing its quiet work. Notice how the back of your head meets the pillow, like a plate meeting a clean shelf, supported along its whole curve. The pillow rises up to meet the shape of you, taking your weight without question. The muscles at the base of your skull soften into that support, as if sliding into their proper place on a familiar rack. Your breath moves in and out, the steady rhythm of a dishwasher long finished. No rush now, just the slow warmth that lingers in the air afterward. Inhale, and the chest widens slightly, like a cupboard door opening. Exhale, and it eases closed again, with no need to hurry. Feel the weight of your shoulders, broad and tired, like the largest plates at the bottom of the stack. They have held so much. On the in-breath, notice any tension there, any tightness along the collarbones, around the shoulder blades. On the out-breath, imagine those big, heavy plates being slid onto a sturdy shelf. They do not have to be lifted anymore tonight. They rest in their place, edges aligned, no longer wobbling. Your arms lie beside you, or wherever they have chosen to land. Think of them as the mid-sized plates, used again and again throughout the day, passing things, reaching, carrying, gesturing. Now they are rinsed clean of tasks, set down one by one. The upper arms grow heavier, as though someone has stacked a gentle, warm plate on each one, adding just enough weight to help them settle. The elbows release. The forearms lengthen into stillness, like plates slid neatly into a drying rack, held upright without effort. Notice your hands, all the tiny movements they have done today. Typing, scrolling, holding, gripping, stirring, straightening. Each finger like a small saucer that has been in constant rotation. Now, with each exhale, imagine those little saucers return to their quiet place in the cupboard. One by one, the fingers soften. The palms widen and cool slightly, as though they have been set on a smooth countertop that takes their warmth and reflects back calm. The spine runs down the center of you like the vertical stack where all the plates lean. Feel how it meets the mattress, point by point. Neck, upper back, mid-back, lower back. Each segment is a shelf, and on each shelf, a layer of weight can finally be put down. With every breath out, another unseen plate is slid into its slot. The back no longer needs to hold the whole stack upright. The bed does that now. The rise and fall of your ribs is slow, steady. Imagine them as open cabinet doors, airing out after a long day of heat and steam. On the inhale, they part just enough to welcome the air. On the exhale, they swing almost closed, resting on their hinges, knowing they will open again when needed. The muscles between them soften, like dishcloths wrung out and left to dry, no longer twisted tight. Your belly, too, has carried so much. Emotions, meals, nerves, all stacked there like bowls nested inside each other. Feel the gentle dome of it as you breathe in, then the soft sinking as you breathe out, as though the top bowl in the nest has been removed and set on the counter, easing the pressure on the ones beneath. Nothing to manage here, just the slow tidal movement of breath. In, out, in, out. Notice the weight of your hips and pelvis, the solid base of your stack. These are the thick, durable plates that have taken the knocks and bumps of the day. They have held you upright, moved you from place to place, supported every step. Now they settle deeply into the mattress, like heavy serving platters placed flat on a sturdy table. The muscles around them loosen, no longer bracing. The bed meets them fully, saying without words, "I've got this part. Rest." Your thighs stretch out, long and quiet. Think of them as shelves that have been cleared. Earlier, they held the weight of bags, of pockets full of small burdens, of the body shifting and balancing. Now, with each exhale, anything left on those shelves is gently lifted away. The fabric over your legs is like a light dish towel, draped and forgotten, there but asking nothing of you. Your knees, often busy with bending and straightening, are like hinges finally oiled and left alone. Feel them soften from the inside. There is no need for them to be ready to move. They simply exist, round and quiet, in the dark of the room. Your calves and shins, those narrow pieces that have carried you forward all day, begin to melt into stillness. Imagine them as the thin dessert plates, used lightly, now stacked neatly at the back of the cupboard. They are done for today. They lean together in easy balance, no risk of tipping. Then the ankles, small joints, often forgotten, like the tiny hooks that hold a plate rack in place. Feel how they are held now by the bed, by the blanket, by gravity itself. They are not holding anything in return, just suspended in this soft arrangement of fabric and air. Finally, your feet. They know the flaws of your life better than any other part of you. Today they have walked through rooms, across thresholds, over hard ground and soft. Now they rest like plates slid into the last empty slots in a cupboard. Heels pressing gently into the mattress, toes curling or lengthening as they wish. The arches relax, as though someone has run a warm cloth along them and then stepped away, leaving them to cool in the stillness. The whole body is a kitchen at night, after the last dish has been washed and put away. Counters clear, sink empty, appliances quiet. A faint warmth still in the air, but no more work in motion. The tasks have stepped back. The list waits outside this room. The breathing part of you knows what to do without being asked. Inhale, and the chest rises a little, like a cupboard door easing open just enough to check that everything is in its place. Exhale, and it settles back, satisfied. The rhythm is unhurried, like the slow tick of a clock on a distant wall. Time still moves, but it does not push. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like the faint hum of a refrigerator in the next room. Steady, unimportant, easy to forget. What matters here is the feeling of weight meeting surface, plate meeting shelf, body meeting bed. Notice how your whole outline has softened. Edges blur a little. The way stacks of plates look in dim light, shapes more than details. There is no need to polish anything, no need to rearrange. Everything has found a place for the night. Breath in, breath out. The day's plates are resting. They are not gone. They are simply still. And in this stillness, the body follows piece by piece into its own deep, quiet shelf of sleep. The breath moves in and out, like a slow wind across a wide, open sky. Inhale, and the chest rises, a soft swell of air. Exhale, and something in you spreads out, like light easing across a horizon that has no edges. Inside, above the thoughts and beneath them, there is a sky. Not the sky outside, not the one that changes with weather and clocks and forecasts. A quieter sky that lives just behind the forehead, just behind the eyes that are closing, or almost closed. Notice how the lids rest against each other, that gentle meeting of skin on skin. Behind them, the darkness opens, not as a wall, but as space. Vast, unhurried. Each breath is a small breeze moving through that inner sky. Nothing needs to be pushed or forced. The air knows how to arrive and how to leave. Somewhere in that sky, there are plates you have been holding up. Flat, spinning discs, each one with a label only you know. Work, family, expectations. The stories about who you should be and by when. They have been circling overhead for a long time. Some of them so long that it almost feels like they are part of the sky itself. Feel how the body lies here now, heavy against the bed. The weight of your shoulders sinking down. The quiet pull of gravity on your hips, on your legs, on the heels that press into the surface beneath them. While the body rests, the mind's sky can rest too. On the next inhale, imagine that breath rising up into that inner space. It travels through the throat, through the back of the head, and opens like a slow balloon into the darkness behind the eyes. On the exhale, the breath spreads out across that sky, thinning, widening, as though it has all the room it could ever need. Up there, one of the plates begins to slow. You may not even know which one it is. Just sense the feeling of something overhead, no longer demanding to be kept in motion. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now. The main thing is this gentle wind of breath, this open, endless sky, and the way the body lies here, doing less and less. Feel the forehead from the inside, not as skin, not as bone, but as the front edge of this inner sky. Notice how it softens when the breath moves past it. The tiny muscles that knit and furrow during the day begin to smooth, like clouds thinning and drifting apart. Behind the forehead, the plates hang in the air, some still spinning quickly, some wobbling, some barely moving at all. They have their own momentum. They have been spinning for years. Tonight, the sky does not rush to catch them. The next inhale gathers under the ribs, lifting them a little. The next exhale moves down the spine, like a quiet breeze traveling the length of a long, still field. As that breeze reaches the base of the spine, notice how the lower back meets the bed. The fabric gives a little, receiving the curve of you, holding it without question. Up in the mind sky, one plate dips, its edge tilts. Instead of racing to steady it, the sky simply watches. There is a strange relief in that, in not rushing, even inside your own head. Feel the space inside the throat, the hollow behind the tongue. With each breath, that space opens and closes, like a small doorway into the larger sky. The jaw loosens, the tongue rests heavier. The neck, so used to holding the head high and forward, now just lies back, supported. Above, another plate slows, the one that keeps track of what must happen tomorrow. Its spin softens. The list waits outside this room. In this inner sky, time stretches. Minutes feel less like boxes and more like distance. The plates that once demanded constant attention are just shapes now. Circles against a dim, wide backdrop. Bring awareness to the chest again. Feel the rise on the inhale, the fall on the exhale. Imagine that with each rise, the sky brightens by a shade. With each fall, it deepens, darkens, becomes more spacious. As the chest settles, the arms grow heavier. Notice the weight of your hands, how they rest, palms warm or cool, fingers curved or straight. The hands that have reached and typed and carried all day are now just resting at the bottom edge of this sky, like quiet stones on the ground of it. Above them, the plates turn more slowly. One of them carries the opinions of others, what they might think, what they might say. Its surface is crowded with imagined faces, imagined conversations. Watch it from far below, as though you are lying on your back in a field, eyes to the sky, and that plate is just a distant circling shape. It wobbles, it steadies, it wobbles again. The sky does nothing about it. The sky remains itself. Breath in, breath out. A breeze that does not argue with the clouds. Move awareness down to the belly. Feel how it rises a little with the inhale and sinks with the exhale. The fabric over it shifts, just slightly, with each breath. Inside there is a deep, quiet center, like the center of this inner sky, far below the spinning plates. From that center, calm spreads upward. It moves through the ribs, into the chest, along the throat, and out into the space behind the eyes. The plates are still there, but they are held in something larger now. Notice the muscles around the eyes from the inside, the tiny ring that opens and closes the lids, the small pull at the temples. Imagine those muscles resting like thin clouds that have stopped trying to hold a shape. They soften, blur, and slowly dissolve into the sky they were outlined against. Another plate slows, the one that keeps track of being strong for others, of holding yourself together. Its spin falters. For a moment, it almost stops, hanging there in the air. Down in the body, the shoulders respond. They sink a little deeper into the bed. The collarbones spread. Across the upper back, a gentle warmth appears, as though sunlight is touching skin that has been in shade all day. The sky does not rush to catch that plate either. It just watches. Breath moves in, breath moves out. The rhythm is simple, steady, like a soft wind that has found its pace and sees no reason to change. Bring your attention to the space inside the head, all of it at once. The forehead, the temples, the crown, the back of the skull where it meets the pillow. Imagine the entire inside of the head is sky. Not solid, not crowded, just wide open and quietly lit from within. In that sky, some plates have nearly stopped. They hover, barely turning. Others still move faster, but they feel farther away now, as though they belong to a higher layer of air that you do not need to reach tonight. The night asks nothing of you here. The plates that must spin tomorrow will find their motion again when the day returns. For now, they are suspended in this vast, patient space. Feel the breath in the nose. Cooler on the way in. Slightly warmer on the way out. That tiny change in temperature is like the smallest weather pattern in this inner sky. So subtle, so gentle. With each exhale, the whole sky seems to expand. The edges move farther and farther away. The plates become smaller in that distance, less urgent, less loud. Down in the body, the legs grow heavier, thighs sinking, knees soft, calves resting, feet relaxing their last traces of holding. The bed receives all of this weight without effort. The body is the ground of the sky now, steady, quiet, unmoving. Above, in the mind sky, the plates drift in their own time. Some will keep spinning, some will slow. Some may, for a while, stop altogether and simply hang there waiting. You are not the one holding them up. You are the sky that holds their motion. Breath in, a breeze across a wide, dark blue. Breath out. The blue deepens, and the plates grow dimmer, like distant shapes at the edge of night. In this space, under this sky, the work of keeping everything aloft eases. What was once a strain becomes a distant circling. What once felt like your job alone now belongs to the air, to gravity, to time. The plates turn as they turn. The sky rests as it rests. And the body, here breathing in this quiet room, settles a little deeper into its own soft horizon. The breath moves in and out, like a quiet scale tipping and returning to balance. Each inhale has its own weight. Each exhale sets something down. Notice the simple pull of gravity on the body, how the mattress receives every ounce of it without question, how the fabric beneath you gives just enough, then holds steady. There has been so much holding, so much bracing, so many invisible bags carried in the mind, on the shoulders, behind the eyes. Feel how the body has learned to lift all of that. The way the back muscles tighten without being asked. The way the neck leans forward, as though it has to keep the world from slipping. Here, in this stillness, the weight begins to show itself, not as a story, just a sensation. Notice the heaviness of the head resting where it rests. The skull, solid and quiet, like a stone finely placed on a soft patch of earth. No need to hold it upright now. The surface beneath it takes over that work. The breath comes in. The breath moves out. With each exhale, the stone of the head seems to sink a millimeter deeper into its resting place, as though the pillow is slowly learning its exact shape. Move your attention to the face. So many expressions have been carried here today. Worry, concentration, politeness, effort. All of them have weight. Feel the small muscles around the eyes. They may still be gripping, as though trying to keep the day open. Imagine that grip softening, like fingers that have been clenching a handle for too long, finally opening and resting in an empty lap. The forehead eases. The tiny lines that work so hard to stay alert begin to smooth. Not because they must, because the night has taken the job of watching. The jaw has its own gravity. Notice how it hangs from the hinges near your ears. It does not need to clamp shut. It can rest, slightly parted, heavy, unhurried. The tongue loosens from the roof of the mouth. It settles down. A quiet weight in a quiet space. This small release ripples through the whole face, as though a tight knot in a rope has finally been untied. The breath moves in. The breath moves out. Each exhale is like placing another object from your arms onto the ground beside you. Bring your awareness to the shoulders. They have been shelves all day, holding things that no one else could see. Responsibilities, conversations, plans that had to be remembered. Feel how they rest against the bed or hang toward the mattress. Notice their natural heaviness. They were never meant to hover so high, so close to the ears. They were meant to drape. With the next long, slow breath out, imagine each shoulder dropping one notch lower on an invisible scale, from effort to ease, from lifting to being lifted. The upper back follows. Those wide, flat muscles that have carried so much unseen strain now spread out like a thick blanket, laid fully open. The surface beneath them accepts the weight, inch by inch. The spine has been a pillar all day, holding the body upright in lines and angles. Now it becomes something else. Not a pillar, but a chain of small, weighted segments, each one allowed to rest in its own curve. Feel the contact points along the back, where each vertebra, each rib presses into the bed. Like a series of tiny anchors, they sink just a little deeper with every exhale, mooring you to this moment, to this softness. The breath moves in. The breath moves out. There is a rhythm here, like a slow, steady scale that keeps returning to center. Notice the weight of your arms, from the shoulders, through the elbows, down to the wrists and hands. All day they have reached, lifted, typed, carried, pointed, held. Now they are simply long, warm weights resting where they are placed. Feel the pull of gravity along each upper arm, the way the muscles slacken, sliding a fraction closer to the bed. Then the forearms, heavy and still, as though each bone has quietly doubled in density. The hands are their own small worlds. Feel the weight of the palms, the slight pressure of each finger where it meets fabric or skin. Even the thumbs have a tiny heaviness, a soft downward pull. Imagine that whatever you are holding, even in imagination, has been set down on the floor of this night. The hands no longer have to grasp it. They rest in their own natural shape, curved and loose, like leaves that have finally stopped resisting the pull of the ground. The breath moves in. The breath moves out. With each cycle, the body's total weight seems to increase, not from burden, but from honesty. This is how heavy you truly are when nothing is being lifted. Bring attention to the chest, to the gentle rise and fall. The front of the body has been a shield all day, turned toward the world. Now it is just a moving landscape of breath. Feel the ribs expanding, then settling, like a book being slowly opened, then quietly closed. The muscles between them soften one by one, releasing their grip on the skeleton. The heart continues its steady work. You do not have to manage it. You do not have to supervise a single beat. It knows its own rhythm, and it keeps going, even as the rest of you grows heavier and more at rest. The belly has its own gentle weight. Notice how it rises with the inhale, then sinks with the exhale, as though a small, warm sandbag is being lifted and lowered by the tide of breath. Allow the breath to travel lower now, down into the pelvis, the hips, the deep bowl of muscles that have held you upright and moving. These are strong, enduring places. They have carried your whole body through the day. Feel the width of the hips against the mattress, their solid, grounded presence. As the breath moves out, they seem to spread a little more, as though they are pouring their weight into the bed, filling the shape that was waiting for them. The thighs are long, powerful weights. Notice their contact with the surface beneath you, the way the fabric gives, then holds, under their mass, There is no need to brace them. They are fully supported. The knees, often busy, often bent and straightened without a thought, now become simple hinges at rest. They are not going anywhere. They rest in the angle they have chosen, with no demand to move. The calves grow heavy. Each lower leg feels as though it has been gently wrapped in something warm and dense, encouraging it to sink. The shins, the muscles along the back of the legs, all of them yield to gravity's steady invitation. Now the ankles, small joints that have turned and flexed and balanced all day. They soften. They no longer need to hold the body upright. They hang or rest exactly where they are without effort. Finally, the feet. Notice the weight of the heels pressing down, how the mattress dips just slightly to receive them. That tiny hollow under each heel is a record of your presence, of your real physical weight in this moment. The arches, the balls of the feet, each toe, they all have their own small pull toward the earth. Even the little toe, often forgotten, has a place in this quiet gravity. From head to toe, the body is one continuous weight now. Not a weight you are carrying, a weight that is being carried. The bed holds it, the room holds it, the night holds it, the tasks have stepped back, the lists have laid themselves down. The world outside this room can wait. The breath moves in. The breath moves out. Every exhale is another moment of handing the weight over, of trusting that nothing falls when you stop holding it all by yourself. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like a distant conversation in another room, behind a closed door. Closer than that, more important than that, is this steady pull downward, this simple, honest heaviness. Feel how the body knows what to do with it, how it spreads the weight out, how it shares it with the mattress, with the quiet, with the dark. There is nothing to lift in this hour, no roll to hold up, no mask to keep in place. The breath moves in, the breath moves out, and the weight of holding it all slowly changes into something else. Not a burden, just the deep, peaceful heaviness of a body finally, truly at rest. The breath keeps moving, steady and quiet, like something gliding through a dark sky. Inhale, a small rising. Exhale, a slow falling. Each breath is its own gentle orbit, a soft curve out and back again. Inside this stillness, imagine your body as a small world floating in a vast velvet space, not rushing anywhere, not pulled by anyone, just suspended, held in the deep, dark air of a quiet universe. The bed beneath you is like a cradle ship, drifting without effort. No engine, no noise. Just the silent glide of a vessel already moving, already carried. Notice the weight of your body, how it sinks into the mattress, as though gravity itself has become a warm, slow blanket. Heels pressed down, calves resting, hips heavy, like small moons nested inside a larger one. Your chest rises and falls in its own rhythm. Each inhale a tiny expansion of this world. Each exhale a soft release, as though a little more air slips out into the endless dark around you. Above this world of skin and breath, imagine a wide, starless sky, not empty, just calm. A smooth, dark dome that stretches without edge, without border, without demand. In that sky, plates begin to drift, the plates of your day, the ones that spun and clattered, the ones you held up for so long. See them now as round, pale moons, slowly turning in the distance, no longer noisy, no longer stacked with tasks, just quiet disks of light, floating far from your hands, Feel your fingers. Notice how they rest, no longer curled around anything. No handles to grip, no edges to hold. The muscles of your palm soften, as though they remember they belong to this floating world, not to the orbit of chores. With each exhale, another plate becomes a moon. One plate held the conversations of the day, voices, replies, expectations. Watch it drift away, its surface now smooth and dim, like frosted glass in the dark. Another plate carried plans and schedules, times, deadlines, little alarms. It loosens from your orbit and glides outward, becoming a pale circle, turning slowly, silently, in the black. Your shoulders feel the change. They no longer have to brace for the next thing to catch. They are not the hooks that keep all those plates in the air. They are just part of this small planet of you, sinking deeper into the bed, surrounded by space. The neck, too, releases. That subtle forward lean, the one that reaches toward the next demand, eases back. Your head rests like a moon that has finally found its own steady path, no longer tugged in all directions. In this dark sky, the plates keep transforming. The one that carried other people's moods, the one that held their worries, their needs, their storms. See it slide away from your orbit, turning and turning, until it is only a distant circle, faint and harmless. The tasks have stepped back. They have their own slow paths now, far from your body, far from this bed. Feel your ribs from the inside. The way they gently widen as breath comes in. The way they fold back towards center as breath goes out. Like a small tide within this world. But there is no shore to defend. No work to be done. Just motion, then stillness, then motion again. Deep inside the chest, there is a quiet hum of life. Not loud, not dramatic. More like the low, steady power that keeps a moon circling, night after night, without ever needing applause. Your belly softens. All the tiny, unseen muscles that spent the day holding, tightening, bracing, they begin to loosen, as though a belt around your middle has been unbuckled, one notch at a time, until there is only ease. Notice the way your back rests. Each vertebra a small stone set into the surface of this planet body. The mattress shapes itself around them, cradling each point, as if the fabric has learned the map of your spine by heart. Far above, the last of the spinning plates turn into quiet moons. One for the messages unanswered. One for the things not finished. One for the moments you replayed, wondering what you should have said, what you should have done. They glow faintly, like chalk circles drawn on the dark. They are still there, but they do not press on you now. Their orbits have widened, their gravity has faded. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like a distant satellite sending soft, meaningless signals across a sky too wide to be bothered. Your legs grow heavier, thighs settling deeper, knees relaxing, no longer ready to stand, to move, to respond. Shins and ankles resting, like small stones that have finally touched the ground after a long fall. Notice the soles of your feet, the way they no longer prepare to step onto anything. No cold floors, no hard shoes, just the quiet contact with fabric, with air, with the invisible gravity that holds them in place. Up in that vast dark, the moons keep their slow, silent paths. They do not need watching. They do not need balancing. They circle on their own, far from your hands, far from your muscles, far from your breath. Here, in this room, in this body, the night asks nothing. Your jaw loosens. The tongue rests, heavy and quiet. The small muscles around your mouth soften, as though the face itself is unhooking from the expressions it wore all day. Behind your closed eyes, the darkness has its own depth. Not flat, not blank, more like a soft, endless tunnel of space stretching out in every direction at once. In that inner sky, the moons drift even farther. They become smaller, dimmer, until they are almost only memory, like the faint afterimage of a light that has been turned off. Breath continues, slow, unhurried. Each exhale a gentle descent into the mattress, into the dark, into the quiet. Somewhere far away, those old plates keep circling. They belong to another orbit now. Not this bed, not this hour, not this body that has become its own calm world. Here, in this vast, silent space, there is only this small planet of warmth and weight. This steady pull downward, this soft, invisible sky above you, stretching wider and wider, until even the thought of holding anything at all feels distant, like a story told about someone else. The moons keep their watch in the far dark. Your only task is to drift, to sink, to follow the slow curve of breath as it rises and falls and rises again in the endless night of this quiet universe. The sound that held the room a moment ago is already softer now, as though someone has stepped into the next room and pulled the door almost closed. What was clear a few breaths ago begins to blur at the edges. Notes that were separate start to lean into one another. A melody that once had shape becomes more like a gentle smear of tone in the air. The body hears this. Somewhere inside, it understands that the song is winding down. Muscles loosen in response to sound that is no longer asking to be followed. Imagine the room as a quiet hall after a concert has ended. The last chords still hover, but they are only echoes. They hang in the air like a faint shimmer, then slide down into silence. The mind has been listening for a long time. Listening to days, to tasks, to voices, to needs. Now the volume on all of that is turning itself down. Not all at once, just a slow, kind dimming. There might still be a rhythm somewhere, a distant beat, but it is far away now, like music from a neighbor's window at night. Present, yet not important. It fades in and out without asking anything from you. Each exhale moves with that fading. On the out-breath, the sound of the day steps back a little more. On the in-breath, only the softest hum of the room remains. Notice how the space around your ears feels thicker with quiet, as though silence has a texture, a gentle weight. It settles over the head, around the jaw, behind the eyes. The bed takes the tiny echoes of movement and absorbs them. A shift of fabric, then gone. A sigh, then gone. The room keeps swallowing sound until almost nothing is left. Thoughts have their own kind of noise. They rustle, they tap, they repeat. Now they are treated like faint music in another part of the house. Recognizable, but not worth turning toward. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like a radio left on low in a distant kitchen. Its stories no longer reach this room with any urgency. As the outer sounds soften, the inner ones grow clearer. The slow drum of the heart, the quieter rhythm of breath, tiny clicks and whispers of joints and fabric and skin. Even these start to blur together. Breath and heartbeat and mattress and night all part of one slow, steady hum. No sharp edges, no clear beginning or end. Imagine the day as a long piece of music, busy in places, loud in others, full of different instruments. Now it has reached the last few bars. The conductor's hands are already lowering. The tasks have stepped back. The list waits outside this room. The night has arrived with no agenda, no schedule. Here, in this softening, time loosens its grip. Minutes do not line up in a row anymore. They spread out, like the last notes of a song, spreading through a large, empty hall. The body rests inside that hall of quiet. The edges of shoulders and arms feel less precise. They are there, but less defined, more like the memory of a shape than the shape itself. Where the body meets the mattress, the border is blurry. Fabric, skin, warmth, weight, all melting into one gentle pressure. It is hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. The same thing happens with sound. Silence is not separate from the small noises that remain. They blend. A distant car, a house sound, a breath, all woven into the same soft background. Nothing needs to be held up or held together. What was held simply rests now. The effort of listening, of staying alert, drains away like volume sliding towards zero. In this near quiet, even thoughts seem to speak more slowly. They stretch out, leave long gaps between words. Sometimes they do not finish their sentences. They trail into nothing, like a tune someone hums under their breath and then forgets. The mind may still murmur. It knows how to murmur itself quiet. Each time it does, the silence that follows feels a little deeper, a little wider. There is a gentle wobble in this in-between place, like the way a note wavers just before it disappears, the way a sound hangs, not quite gone, not quite here. The body feels that wobble too, a tiny sway in awareness, a soft tipping from wake towards sleep. Not a sharp switch, just a slow rocking, like sound fading down a hallway. The room holds this wobble without concern. Walls, ceiling, floor, all steady, all still. They have watched countless nights like this, countless endings of long, noisy days. The jaw may slacken a little more. The tongue rests heavier in the mouth. Even the tiny muscles around the ears stop bracing for the next sound. They understand that nothing loud is coming. In this hush, even memories grow quieter. Scenes from the day lose their brightness, like a song played from another room through a closed door. The colors dim, the edges blur. What needed doing has paused. That work belongs to tomorrow. This hour is only for drifting, for the gentle wobble before stillness. Notice how the breath sometimes lengthens without being asked. A deeper inhale slips in. A longer exhale flows out, like a sigh at the end of a long performance. After that, there is a brief, weightless pause, a moment when nothing is moving, not breath, not thought, not sound, just a quiet held between one note and the next. Those pauses may come more often now, little gaps where awareness hovers, not quite awake, not quite asleep, suspended, like a final chord hanging in the air before it dissolves. In that suspension, the body feels lighter. The arms are less anchored, the legs less defined, as though the whole shape of you is beginning to blur, the way a song blurs when it is almost gone. The night does not rush this. It is patient with the wobble, patient with the fading. It knows that stillness arrives in its own time, the way silence eventually claims every sound. For now, it is enough that the volume has dropped, that the sharpness has softened, that the long, loud music of the day has become a distant, gentle hum. Rest drifts in on that hum. Not demanding, not insisting, just arriving quietly as the last traces of sound slip into the wide, waiting silence. The room is dim now, not fully dark, just enough light to leave soft shapes and softer shadows. Somewhere above, a single source of light hangs, not harsh, more like a distant lamp in another room, Its glow reaches you only as a gentle suggestion. Imagine a shelf stretching out in this twilight, a quiet row of plates resting in the dark, smooth circles of porcelain or clay or glass, each one holding a faint rim of light along its edge. They stand side by side, almost touching. Not stacked, not burdened, just leaning into the hush of the shelf. Their faces turn slightly toward the dim glow. The light finds them in small ways, a pale line along a curve, a soft reflection that appears, then fades, when you breathe. Shadows gather in the hollows like pooled ink. The plates do not move. They do not need to. They have found their place on the cool, steady wood. Nothing asks more of them. Notice the stillness of that shelf, how it holds every weight without effort, how it does not hurry the plates, or arrange them, or judge which one is brightest. It simply stays and supports. One plate, somewhere in the middle, feels familiar, as though the warmth of your day has settled into its surface. The weight of your tasks, the spinning of your thoughts, all pressed there for so long. Now it stands, at last, in this dim, quiet row. Light brushes its rim, then slips away. A shadow crosses its center, then melts back into grey. It is not being used. It is not being asked to hold or carry anything. The air around the shelf is cool and slow. Dust moves only when the faintest current passes. Even that motion is soft, almost imaginary, like a thought that never quite forms. Time loosens here. There is no schedule on this shelf, no clock in the dark. Only the steady presence of shapes, existing without urgency. The plate that feels like you stands, slightly tilted, resting against a quiet support behind it. The support never speaks, never demands, never withdraws. It just meets the plate where it leans and stays. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just another shifting shadow along the row. A brief change in shade across smooth surfaces. Not a problem to solve, not a signal to answer. Far away, that gentle lamp hums. Its light reaches the plates in slow, patient waves. Sometimes a rim glows, sometimes it does not. No one is keeping score. The plate that is yours has edges that are starting to blur, not broken, just softened by the dark. The clear line between plate and air grows hazy, like breath on glass. Your body follows that same quiet rule. Outlines soften. The border between skin and space loses its sharpness. Everything around you agrees to hold you without needing to know where you end. On the shelf, light and shadow trade places in silence. A thin crescent of glow along one side of the plate. A deeper shade in the center. Then slowly, the glow slides away and leaves the plate in full dusk. Even in full dusk, it is still there, perfectly itself. Not performing, not displaying, just existing as a circle in the dark. The tasks have stepped back. The list waits outside this room. The plate is not set on a table, not asked to serve, not asked to be seen. It is simply stored for the night. The shelf runs deeper than it first seemed. Row behind row of plates, disappearing into the dark. Some bright, some dull, some chipped, some new. All of them resting in the same quiet distance from the light. There is a peace in not being chosen, in not being the one in use. The plate that is you stands among many, and that togetherness is calm. Nothing separates it from the others except small details the dark does not care about. The room around the shelf grows thicker with night. The lamp's glow becomes more of a memory than a presence. Edges fade, shapes simplify. Your sense of where your hands are, where your feet are, begins to soften, like plates slowly dissolving into the background of the shelf. Still there, but less defined, less required to hold their shape so tightly. Breath moves through you like that faint, distant light. It brushes your surfaces. It glides across the curve of your chest, the hollow of your throat. Then it drifts away again, without asking anything in return. The plate that is you has carried so much weight. Meals, gatherings, hurried breakfasts, late-night snacks, all the invisible stories of being needed over and over. Now, in this dark, none of that is asked. Nothing is required in this hour. The night leans in close and simply accepts that the plates are resting. Dust may settle. Tiny sounds in the room may come and go. The plates remain untouched. A faint line of light might catch on a tiny chip along the rim. That small imperfection is quiet now. No one is looking. No one is tracing it with curious fingers. It is just another place where shadow gathers a little more deeply. The shelf feels cool against the base of each plate. A steady, horizontal calm. It does not sag. It does not mind the number of plates it holds. There is always room for one more circle of rest. In this darkness, even the idea of front and back loses strength. The face of the plate, the underside, the rim, the center, all are simply surfaces where light might land or might not. No part is more important than another. The same is true for you now. Thoughts, sensations, memories, plans. They are just different sides of the same simple presence. None of them needs to stand in the bright center of attention. Somewhere, far off, the lamp hums again. A slow, nearly silent pulse. Its glow reaches the shelf in a thin wash, then recedes. The plates do not respond. They do not wake. They just remain. The plate that feels like you is no longer trying to stay perfectly upright. Its lean deepens by the smallest degree. The support behind it takes that extra weight without comment. What was held so carefully is surrendered to the shelf. In this softened dark, boundaries are mostly suggestion. Plate and shadow, body and air, thought and silence. All of them drifting closer together, like shades of the same color. Rest moves in without needing to be invited. It finds the spaces between each plate. It settles into the narrow gaps, the tiny distances. It fills the air just above the shelf, like a slow, invisible fog. The plate that is you does nothing at all. It stands. It leans. It exists in the dark. That is enough for tonight. The spinning has already slowed. What once whirred and circled and tried to keep everything in the air is easing now. It is as though some great wheel inside has begun to unwind. Not with a jolt, not with a crash, just a gentle, steady quieting of motion. The body feels its own weight. The bed receives that weight without question. Gravity holds what once tried so hard to stay upright, to stay alert, to keep turning. Somewhere in you, a long-turned gear pauses. The teeth that used to catch and pull and strain slip past each other now. No more catching, no more pulling. There is a sense of descent, not falling out of control, falling into place. Imagine an old carousel at the end of the night. The music has stopped. The lights have dimmed. What once spun and glittered and rose and fell is slowing, slowing, slowing. The painted horses are still. Their poles no longer slide up and down. The platform eases to a halt, and the whole round world of it rests. Inside, that same thing is happening. The carousel of the day, the rotations of thought and effort, the circling of plans. All of it is coasting now on the last soft turn. Each breath is like the final push that is not really a push at all, just a whisper of motion, barely enough to move the air. There is no need to keep the ride going. The night has already decided for you. The sense of down becomes comforting. The pull of the mattress, the way it cups the back of the head, the curve of the shoulders, the weight of the hips. Everything that once lifted and reached and braced is being gathered in by this gentle downward pull. Around the edges of the body, things blur. Where skin meets sheets, the border softens. Where air meets face, the line is less clear. As if the outline of you is being drawn in pencil, and someone is slowly smudging the edges with a fingertip. The world that used to spin around you has grown quiet. No bright lights circling, no loud music rising and falling. Just a slow, steady dimming. Somewhere in the chest, a small operator steps away from the controls. The levers that once lifted energy up, that once pressed attention forward, are no longer being held. They rest in their own neutral place. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like the faint hum of a motor far below, still turning, but no longer driving anything important. The main machinery is shutting down for the night. Not broken, not failing, just finished with its shift. What needed doing has paused. The list waits outside this room. The tasks have stepped back, like workers leaving a factory floor, lights clicking off row by row behind them. Inside the factory, the great wheels slow. The belts sag. The pistons stop their steady rise and fall. Dust settles in the air. In you, the same settling happens. The shoulders no longer lift on every breath. They simply rise a little, then sink a little more. The jaw loosens. The tongue rests in its own place, heavy and quiet. Even the tiny muscles around the eyes, those that once scanned and checked and watched, begin to soften. There is nothing to spin for now. Thoughts that once orbited like small satellites around a busy planet are drifting farther out. Their paths widen, their pull weakens. They become faint dots in a darkening sky, easy to ignore. Closer in, the body is its own small planet, round with softness, heavy with rest, held securely in its own gentle gravity. Notice how the breath moves without being managed, in, out, like a pendulum that has almost stopped, swinging through smaller and smaller arcs. Each exhale is a tiny descent, a micro-fall, a soft surrender to down. The mind does not need to steer this. The body remembers how to land. In this landing, even time loosens its grip. Minutes blur at the edges, like numbers on a clock seen through half-closed eyes. The sequence of things matters less and less. Was that breath longer than the last one? Did that thought come before the other? It does not really register. Everything is just part of the same slow downward drift. The sense of being the one who must keep things going is fading, like a worker who has stayed late, then finally hears the last door lock behind them, and knows the building will hold itself until morning. Your system knows how to rest itself. The heart has its own rhythm. The lungs have their own tide. The nerves know how to dim the lights inside. All the spinning plates of the day are no longer in the air. They have been set down on quiet shelves. Somewhere behind a closed door, out of sight, out of reach. Here, in this small world of mattress and pillow and darkness, there is only the slow descent, the gradual sinking, the way the body seems to grow heavier and lighter at the same time. Heavier where it meets the bed, lighter where the edges blur and disappear, as though the center of you is a stone, gently lowering through deep, soft earth. The soil parts to receive it, then closes above it, snug and undisturbed. Around that center, everything else is free to drift. Names, faces, bits of conversation, plans, worries, half-finished ideas. They all become like dust motes in a shaft of fading light, swirling lazily, then settling out of sight. The night asks nothing. No decisions, no performance, no effort to hold yourself together. The grip that held the day is loosening on its own. What was clutched is simply resting now. The bed knows this weight. It has carried it before. It will carry it again. For now, the only movement that remains is small. The slow roll of breath, the tiny adjustments of muscles as they find an easier position. The last few turns of a wheel that is almost still. Soon there will be no more spinning at all. Just a quiet center, just a body at rest, just a mind drifting beyond its own edges, descending, surrendering. Already halfway gone into sleep, the last plate rests where it is. Already still, the motion has stopped, only the quiet remains. A small candle burns nearby. Its flame has grown soft at the edges. Watch it without effort. A gentle, steady glow. No rush in it at all. The wax has melted into a shallow pool, thick, slow, almost not moving. Only the faintest shift as the flame breathes. The room is dim around it. Shadows lean in, but do not disturb. They simply stand, patient and silent. The plate does not ask for anything now. No hands reaching toward it. No clatter, no work. Only its own quiet weight, resting. The candle has burned for a long time, doing its small, simple task. Now it is close to finished. The wick has curled in on itself, shorter, darker, softer. The flame sits lower, closer to the wax. Each second, a little more melts. Each second, a little less remains to burn. There is no struggle in this. The light touches the plate. A pale circle, warm and low. Edges blurred, like a thought already half forgotten. The tasks have stepped back. The list waits outside this room. The night has taken them gently from your hands. In this dim circle of light, everything is simple. Just the plate, just the candle, just the quiet. The flame leans one way, then the other. A slow, tired sway, like it is listening for its own ending. Wax thickens at the rim, then loosens, then slides. Tiny ridges soften and disappear. What was sharp has rounded itself into ease. The last plate stays where it is. It does not need putting away. It does not need deciding. The candle keeps burning down, not hurrying, not holding back, just following its own small path toward rest. The air around it is slightly warmer. Close to the flame, there is a pocket of soft heat. Farther out, the coolness of the room returns. Somewhere in between, your body rests. Not in the heat, not in the cool, just in the middle, where nothing presses. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It is just background now, like a faint hum behind a closed door. The light of your attention is with the candle instead. Watch how the flame sometimes lifts taller, a brief reaching up, then settles back down again, smaller, quieter. There is no need to hold the moment in place. The wax will do what wax does. The fire will do what fire does. The plate receives the last of the light. It does not shine it back. It just holds it gently. A thin stream of wax slides, then pauses. Freezes in mid-curve as the air cools it. A tiny wave, stopped forever in its last motion. The work of the day is like that now. Its movement already caught and stilled. Nothing is pushing forward anymore. The wick has grown tired. The flame flutters closer to the wax. Edges tremble, then steady, then tremble again. In this small circle of light, time feels thick, stretched, almost not moving. Breath moves through the body the way heat moves through the wax. Slow, downward, settling. The last plate waits without expectation. It has done its part. It has carried what it needed to carry. The candle is almost finished. A shallow pool, a short wick, a soft flame. Everything winding down in its own unhurried way. There is no need to lean toward what comes next. This moment is enough. This almost gone light, this nearly complete burning. The flame dips, then gathers itself. A final brightening. A last small insistence on being here. Then it softens again. Lower now, quieter. Around the plate, the shadows grow thicker, not heavy, just closer. The last plate, already still. The last candle, nearly out. The room, folding itself into darkness. When the flame finally goes, it will go gently. A brief glow, a faint thread of warmth. Then only the memory of light on the plate. Even that will fade, leaving only rest, only the quiet weight of what has already stopped. The plates are resting now, all of them. The big ones that held whole days, the small ones that held tiny worries, set down, still, nothing to keep in the air anymore. The part of you that used to rush from plate to plate, checking, steadying, spinning, has stepped back. That old job is over for tonight. The spinning part has been given full permission to sleep. It does not have to watch. It does not have to remember. It does not have to be ready. All the motion that once lived in your hands and shoulders, in your jaw and your chest, has poured out into this bed. What was carried is being carried now, by the mattress, by the pillow, by the dark around you. Weight that used to feel like yours alone is spread out under you into the softness, into the quiet. The body feels it first, heavier, looser, more here. Notice the way the back meets the bed, how the fabric touches the skin, how gravity presses you gently down. No effort in that. It happens by itself. Breath happens by itself too. In, out, a small rise, a small fall, again and again. Nothing is being held up anymore, not by will, not by worry. The plates are not asking for you. They are not calling your name. They are not slipping. They are resting where they are. Until morning, or later than morning. Far outside this room. Inside this room, there is only this slow air, moving through you, in, out. The thinking part of you can keep thinking. It's just background now, like a soft hum in another house, on another street, far away. Here, closer than that, is the steady pull downward. The way your limbs grow dense and warm. The way the bed rises up to meet every curve, every edge, so nothing is left hanging. You do not have to keep anything from falling. Everything that needed tending has been left on the table for another time, or for someone else, or for no one at all. This is what stopping feels like. Not a decision, not a moment of triumph, just the slow discovery that nothing is moving under your hands anymore, that your hands have gone quiet, your shoulders have gone quiet, your eyes have gone quiet. The world you were balancing is somewhere else now. Here, there is only breath, in, out. The chest widens a little, softens a little, then settles again. Each exhale empties more than lungs. It empties effort. It empties the habit of holding. The mind may still murmur. It knows how to murmur itself quiet. Muscles remember what to do. They unwind in layers without needing to be told. Jaw, neck, belly, hands, all of them learning how it feels to be off duty. The part of you that always stayed on, even in the dark, has somewhere to lie down now. Right here, inside this breathing body, on this bed that does the holding for you. Stopping is no longer a thing to reach. It's already here underneath everything else. Already happening. The plates resting. The weight spread out. The spinner asleep. Breath in, breath out. Heavy, warm. Here,